This week on Africa Weekly, we visit the blackened waters of southern Nigeria, a year after the launch of a much-lauded clean-up programme. Then we head to Soweto, where small-scale entrepreneurs are hoping to transform South Africa's townships. And finally, we end in the DRC, where a football training academy has been left in disarray after its founder and presidential hopeful fled from the country. But first is a summary of the stories that made the headlines this week. More than 8,000 migrants have been rescued in waters off Libya in just 2 days, after the onset of warm weather created a surge in people boarding boats for the perilous journey across the Mediterranean. The bodies of at least 25 migrants who drowned trying to reach Europe were found near Tripoli. Italy's seen a 14% rise in the number of migrants landing at its shores and threatens to stop them from disembarking unless there's more financial help. 9 people have been killed in a string of suicide attacks in Maiduguri, a city in Nigeria's restive northeast, where Boko Haram Islamists began a deadly insurgency in 2009. The attacks occurred as Nigeria began a 2-day public holiday for Eid, marking the end of the Muslim holy fasting month of Ramadan. They targeted the campus of Maiduguri University and residential buildings in a district just northeast of the city. In Mali, people gathered to pay tribute to those who were killed in an attack by an al-Qaeda-linked jihadist alliance on an upmarket holiday resort close to the Malian capital. 3 foreigners, a Malian civilian and a Malian soldier, were killed. Neighbouring Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast have also been the site of recent attacks on foreigners and locals. Zimbabwean pastor and anti-government campaigner Evan Mawarire has been granted bail after appearing in court for speaking to a group of striking medical students. He was arrested and charged with attempting to subvert a constitutionally elected government, though he has yet to face trial over those charges. An outbreak of a highly contagious strain of avian influenza, or bird flu, has forced South African authorities to kill over 250,000 birds. The news has prompted neighbouring countries to ban poultry imports, but officials insist that it's safe.
The meat that is on the shelves is safe to eat as it has gone through a process of meat inspection and certified fit for human consumption. A number of trade partners have suspended trade on raw meat, eggs and live birds from South Africa.
Customs authorities in Madagascar seized around 370 rare tortoises in 3 suitcases headed for the black market. The cargo was leaving for Nairobi, with Vietnam as final destination.
On the banks of the Niger Delta, the boats are docked and the fishermen absent, signs of an area desecrated by the region's oil industry. Ogoniland in southern Nigeria is suffering the consequences of 50 years of oil exploitation. The water is not fit to drink, and the few fishermen still working must travel miles just to find aquatic life.
We can't see no fish in this water because the water is stained with crude oil, and no living fish can be available to survive with this water. So the oil is polluted everything.
1 year ago, the Nigerian government launched a massive project to clean up Ogoni, spurred by the UN. The cleanup operation, costing an estimated $1 billion, was due to last some 30 years, with oil company Shell covering part of the costs. But 1 year on, only $10 million have been released and work has yet to begin.
We are trying to navigate very carefully to ensure that everything that will be put in place is something that will be durable and is something that could meet the test line that is expected of this cleanup by the United Nations.
Frustrated with the slow progress, local environmentalist Michael decided to plant trees to restore the damaged flora in the area in an attempt to counter the pollution.
Because of the pollution, a lot of carbon-related particles are thrown into the community and into the atmosphere. So the trees now trap and capture them, bring them down and use them for photosynthesis. Now when they use the carbon for photosynthesis, the trees will return oxygen for human consumption, and we will live.
The largest hydrocarbon reserve in Africa, the Delta has long attracted multinational and multi-billion-dollar oil companies. But with little progress on the cleanup, they've left a legacy of anger and frustration.
Mandisa Zwane always dreamed of working in fashion. The bright and bold African print designs that she makes in her Soweto workshop are hugely popular. But her creations don't just fly off the shelves in Soweto. They have been sold as far afield as London and Atlanta. A coup for the 42-year-old fashionista who started out making a handful of garments every month for friends and family.
There's a belief that for you to be able to be successful in anything, you need to be out of the township. And I have proven that not to be true, because this is where I do my business, this is where I've hired people, and it's quite successful.
Soweto's Box Shop, a local not-for-profit that helps small businesses run and expand, has allowed her to reach a worldwide clientele. A physical shop on Soweto's Vilakazi Street and a web store offering worldwide shipping help propel Box Shop's suppliers. They also receive business advice after successfully pitching their products in a first-of-its-kind project for South Africa.
We basically supported local businesses in making sure that all supplies we used to build this particular store supported these small businesses around the community. That's first, and since we've been operating, we've created an ecosystem where now these local businesses can engage with us.
Soweto's Box Shop now works with some 80 entrepreneurs and hopes to open 10 stores like the one in Soweto over the next decade. Among those to have benefited from the scheme is Velaphi Mpolweni. He has dedicated himself to creating jobs for Soweto's unemployed, following the success of his home furnishings, spurred on by Box Shop.
I'm sure it is not only 8 people that I have employed. Behind those 8 people, there is a family of around 8, and then you can make the figures 8 times 8, you have 64 people.
Despite the South African government spending €420 million to develop the townships in 2016 alone, the townships still have plenty of untapped economic potential.
The stars of African football. This is the DRC's Tipi Mazembe team, 5 times winner of the African Champions League. One of the team's most popular players came through the Tipi Mazembe Academy, set up in 2012 to train the next generation of footballers.
The academy taught me the basics. How to be strong, how to understand a lot of things, the techniques, the tactics.
But the training academy has been in turmoil since its founder, Moise Katumbi, left the country. A prominent businessman and presidential hopeful, he left for Belgium after facing trial. Since then, his contributions have stopped.
Every month, I weigh the players, and in April, for the first time in 5 years, they'd lost weight because we were forced to reduce their food and the number of meals per day.
But despite the smaller meals and fewer training sessions, the recruits still dream of following in the footsteps of players who've gone on to join professional teams.
At the academy, I'm hoping to become a professional player, to play overseas in Europe, rather than in my own neighbourhood.
Tipi Mazembe remains the DRC's top football club, and its academy incredibly popular, with 6,000 applicants for just 15 places. Coaches and players just have to hope that excellence, not just patronage, are enough to keep the school afloat.
Congo-Brazzaville hosted the AIBA African Boxing Championships, attracting almost 300 boxers from 25 nations. Congo-Brazzaville clinched the heavyweight title, with Uganda winning the welterweight category. Next week on Africa Weekly, we meet the women in the Democratic Republic of Congo who paint scenes of daily life on the walls of their homes, a rare expression of creativity in a region marred by political unrest. That's all from us at Africa Weekly. Until next week.